So skip over, we're continuing on Unit 4, page 13. Once again, Nucha of surname Dangor, Sir Moshe Montefiore. We're going to try to get through the Rambams now. In order to read the Rambams and understand the Rambams, we have to get an overview of the way the Rambam wrote his halachot in Hilchot Shmita v'Yovel. The way it works is like this, right? Prakim Aleph to Chet are all about Shmitat Karka. Okay, he starts with things that have to do with working in the Karka in Prakim Aleph Bet. Per Gimel, he talks about Tosefet Shvi that we learned in units 2 and 3. Per Gdaled, he goes back to Shmitat Karka and everything that has to do with it till Per Chet. Per Ktet is devoted to only Shmitat Ksafim. Okay. Per Yud is about the Yovel, and then Yud Aleph, Yud Bet, Yud Gimel are things that have to do with Yovel. Selling Batay Choma and things then selling Zera, Chomer Sorim, all those, the rest of Parshat Behar, and so the rest of Parshat Behar, they have to do with Yovel. But the idea, so just in terms of the overview, Aleph Techet is Shmita, Tet is Shmitat Ksafim, Shmitat Karka, Tet is Shmitat Ksafim, Yud Anon is Yovel. So think about it like that. Says the Rambam in Perek Tet, till Perek Tet, say, in Shmitat Ksafim נוהגת מן התורה, אלא בזמן שהיובל נוהג. שיש שם שמיטת קרקע, שלא ישוב הקרקע לבעליו בלא כסף. אז הקבלה הוא, אמרו חכמים, בזמן שאתה משמט קרקע, אתה משמט כספים בכל מקום, בין בארץ ובין חוץ לארץ, שאין שם שמיטת קרקע, אין אתה משמט כספים בשביעית, אפילו בארץ. What is שמיטת כספים the Rambam is referring, שמיטת קרקע, the Rambam is referring to here? Which Shmitat Karka?
Back to the Yoshim.
Right, the Yovel one where you return to the Yoshim, right? Why does the Rambam say that? Because as we mentioned in the past, we're missing a link to link Shmitat Karkaot on Shmita, right? Hafkarat Yevul, right? We're missing a link between that and the Hekesh. Right? Again, the pasuk is V'zeh dvar shmita shamot kol ba'al mashe yado asher yasher b'reu. So that's clearly shmitat ksafim. Dvar shmita shamot. We have to link that to Yovel to explain why the shmita stops. Right? Why does shmita stop? Because there's no Yovel. So that's what the Rambam writes here. So the Rambam didn't write anything about the shmitat karka. Right? When it comes to Shmitat Karka, he did not mention this at all. Only in Perek Tet, when it comes to Shmitat Ksafim, he bothers mentioning, by the way, there's no Shmitat Ksafim if there's no Yovel. Now, what about Shmitat Karka? Not mentioned. Not in this halacha, and not previously. All right. I'm skipping a bit. Have a look. I want to skip to the next page. The Rambam in Perek Daled. Now, what's special about Perek Daled? Did I mention anything special about Perek Daled? Right, correct. And what's special about Perek Daled in the context of Shmirat Karka? So the only thing, if you listened carefully to what I said before, you'd notice that Perek Daled is after Perek Gimel. You'd say. Perek Daled is after Perek Gimel. It's consecutive, right? So there's a subsequent Perek. Now, Philip will argue that he knew Perek Daled was after Perek Gimel even before I mentioned it. This is a fair point. But why is it important that Perek Daled is after Perek Gimel? Any guesses? What's in Perek Gimel? Tosefet Shvi'it. What's special about Tosefet Shvi'it in our context? That even more extreme. What do you say? Right, there's no drabanan Tosefet Shvi'it, right? Either you have it or you don't, right? So nowadays, do we have Tosefet Shvi'it nowadays? We do not, right? For that reason, we don't have Tosefet Shvi'it. Why? No, so that's a very, very specific aspect. It's not really, doesn't really stem from Tosefet Shvi'it. Tosefet Shvi'it said you don't have Tosefet Shvi'it. Why don't we have Tosefet Shvi'it? The Gemara in Mod Katan says, and the Rambam cites this in Perek Gimel. Why don't you have to Tosefet Shvit nowadays? Says the Rambam in Perek Gimel. Because there's no Mikdash. So, why is it Mikdash? Good question. So, right. Correct. When it comes to the Ikar Shvi, it has nothing to do with Mikdash, right? It only comes up in the context of Tosefet Shvit. Where is that? Where's Tosefet Shvit in the Rambam? Perek Gimel, very good. I'm just making sure someone's listening. Telling Perek Gimel. Right to the Rambam in Perek Daled, Halacha Kafei, page 14. In Shvit noeget ela beretz Yisrael bilvad. שנאמר כי תבואו לארץ, נוהגת בין בפני הבית, בין שלא בפני הבית. Okay, so question, you read this halacha, based on this halacha, is there any time at which you don't keep Shmitat Karka? When? When do you not keep Shmitat Karka? We're not in Eretz Israel, but I'm talking about time, not place. That's a place, I'm talking about time. Based on this, is there any time at which you don't keep Shmitat Karka?
Is all the time.
All the time, right?
It's not time.
Right. So you look at Perek Daled, Rambam says you always keep Shmitat Karka. You read Perek Tet, and what do you say? Shmitat Ksafim depends on Yovel. What about Shmitat Karka? L'chora does not depend on Yovel, right? L'chora, because it doesn't depend on Beit Mikdash. Why doesn't the Rambam say that it does not depend on Yovel? Why doesn't he mention that? Maybe he doesn't need to, right? Once he says it's regardless of Beit HaMikdash. So what about Yovel? Well, I didn't say anything, so why are you making assumptions, right? Why did the Rambam write regardless of whether Beit HaMikdash is there or not? Why did the Rambam say that? Why say that? Why did the Rambam mention this? That's the important reason I mentioned before, right? What's special about Perek Daled? That's after Perek Gimel. What does the Rambam say in Perek Gimel? Right, the Tosefet is only Zon Mikdash. Comes next Perek, Ikar Shmita, Shmita Karka. That has nothing to do with Beit HaMikdash, right? The Rambam has to point that out because in the previous Perek, so it very much sounds like the only reason the Rambam bothers saying that you have to keep Shmita Karka anyway is because there are times which Tosefet Shvi doesn't apply. And he says regarding that criteria does not affect Ikar Shvi. But that's all, right? So if you look at all those, it looks like the Rambam says it looks like the Rambam says a very interesting thing. He says, Shmitat Ksafim, right, Nushita. Shmitat Ksafim depends on Yovel. Shmitat Karka does not depend on Yovel. It doesn't depend on anything. It depends on being in Eretz Israel. He said, I can keep Shmitat in New York or in South Africa. Right? But if you're in Eretz Israel, you always keep Shmitat Karka, Mashma Midoraita. There's no reason to think otherwise, right? Now let's read the Halacha in Perek Yud. Sorry to make you flip back. Let's go back to page 13. It says the Rambam in Perek Yud. Mishegala, I'm going to read the first Halacha fast because it's just a context Halacha. משגלה שבט ראובן ושבט גד וחצי שבט מנשה בטלו יובלות. שנאמר וכתבתם דורו בארץ לכל יושביה, בזמן שכל יושביה עליו, הוא שלא יהיו מעורבבים שבט בשבט, אלא כולם יושבים כתקנן. בזמן שיובל נוהג בארץ, נוהג בחוץ הארץ, שנאמר יובל היא בכל מקום, בין לפני הבית ובין שלא בפני הבית. So this is the halacha that tells us when do you have yovel?
You can never have yovel.
When?
Not from the beginning you couldn't have yovel.
What's the beginning? מה זה the beginning?
ישיבת בארץ ישראל בזמן
בית שני, ישיבת ציון.
No, this is before ישיבת ציון.
Oh yeah. From the first galut, correct. Yeshua's time.
Yeah, because he said משגלה is שבט ראובן ושבט גד. They didn't come to this Israel.
No. That they were Mekadesh now. That they're Mekadesh of Eredin. That's fine. Meshegala, he's talking about in the time of Ashur. The time when Ashur came and took Reuven and Gad, before they came and took the rest. So that's what he's referring to. Now, but again, there's a context halacha. What's important to me is the next one. What is contingent on Yovel and what is not. Bizman she'Yovel noheg, נוהג דין עבד עברי, ודין בתי ערי חומה, ודין שדה חרמים ודין שדה אחוזה. We're not going to learn all of these right now. ומקבלים גר תושב, ונוהגת שביעית בארץ, והשמדת הכספים בכל מקום מן התורה. Okay. It sounds like all these are contingent on Yovel, right? Otherwise, why say? B'zman she'Yovel noheg, also shatnez is not. Seder, right? Because, right? B'zman she'Yovel noheg, say tzitzit is not, right? It has nothing to do with it, right? Obviously, we're only mentioning things that have to do with Yovel. Okay. B'zman she'en Yovel noheg, ino noheg echad mikol elu. Chutz, very good. Mishvi'it ba'aretz ha'akzim b'chol makom divrei. You see, already you can see two ways of reading the sentence. חוץ משביעית בארץ, right, there are two ways of reading, right? חוץ משביעית בארץ, which is דאורייתא, שעושים בכל מקום מדבריהם, or חוץ משביעית לעזור לכספים, right? שביעית של הארץ and השמדת הכספים, which is a different kind of שביעית, מדבריהם, right? Already you can see two ways of reading the Rambam, right? One makes both Shmitat Karka and Shmitat Ksafim Drabanan. Well, the other one makes one Doraita and one Drabanan, right? You can say Chutz Mishvit Ba'aretz, which is Doraita. So B'chol Makom is Drabanan, right? It's one way of reading, and that would work well. That would comply with the previous, right? That would work well with the way we read the previous Rambam. Right, so I just want to present one way of reading all the Rambams. In Perek Gimel, the Rambam mentions there's no Tosefet Shvit in the time of if there's no Beit Mikdash. So in Perek Daled he writes, well, Shmidat Karka is regardless of Mikdash or not, right? And then Perek Tet, he makes it clear that only Shmitat Ksafim is contingent on Yovel. In Perek Yud, he explains more and says Shmitat Karka is the Oraita, Shmitat Ksafim is Drabanan when there's no Yovel. So that's one way of reading all the Rambams. Now, let's propose the alternative. The alternative goes like this. Where is the source that Shmitat is Drabanan, that Shmitat is contingent on Yovel? In Shmitat Ksafim. Right? That's the pasuk. The pasuk is from Shmitat Ksafim. So where's the Rambam going to mention the limud? In Shmitat Ksafim. So let's look at the context of each one. In Perek Daled, the Rambam saying Shmitat Karka does not work the way Tosefet Shvit works. That's all he says. What is it contingent on anything else? I don't know. Comes Perek Tet, the Rambam says, oh, now we're doing Shmitat Ksafim. Let me tell you. In Shmitat Ksafim, there's a pasuk that tells you Shmitah is contingent on Yovel. Now we're doing Shmitat Karka. Not clear. But it's open. It's an open question. Because the Hekesh, again, remember Rebbe and Abaye, the Hekesh really is from Ksafim to Yovel. That's clear. What about Karka? It's an open question. Inconclusive. Comes Perek Yud, now we have what are we talking about? Hilchot Yovel. Here, the Rambam tells me, here all the things are contingent on Yovel. I'm not teaching you the limud. The limud I showed you in Perek Tet, right? The limud I showed you in Perek Tet, the limud is from Ksafim to Yovel. Fine. Now I'm telling you Yovel. What isn't? I'm telling you the whole list. Within the list, I'll tell you that the truth is that limud is true about Shmitat Ksafim and Shmitat Karka. So there? And then you can read Chutz Mishvi'it Ba'aretz and Shmitat Ksafim. They're both Drabanan. Why they Drabanan? Oh, read in Perek Tet. You'll read it there. The Rambam didn't bother bringing the limud here, so here he can say, what is contingent on Yovel? Okay, what about Shmita? Oh, Shmita, Ksafim, and Karka, both are Drabanan. Meaning it is contingent on Yovel, but we keep Drabanan anyway. That's what he means. So there are two ways of reading the Rambam, right? One makes Shmitat Karka and Shmitat Ksafim separate, and the other says, no, they're together. I'll just have a quick look just to show you that both opinions exist. We'll look at the Kesef Mishneh right at the beginning of the Rambam, before Perek Yud, right? מדבר רבינו שמפרש שמה שאמרו שם בזמן שאתה משמט קרקע, אתה משמט כספים ביובל, הרי משמט קרקע, שהרי שדות חוזרות לבעלים. אבל שמיטת קרקע, בזמן הזה לא גידול התורה. Right? We said right away, שמיטת כספים, שמיטת קרקע, דאורייתא. כספים is contingent on Yovel, שמיטת קרקע is not. The Rav Kanievsky here I brought as well, רבינו כאן מפרש גם כן טיפול של רבינו תם. זה לא אומר כאן משנת קרקע, משנת כספים. משנת כספים זה שמיטה, משנת קרקע חוזר לבן ביובל, דומה משנת כספים שחוזר לבעלים דו. That's it. What about משנת קרקע? Relevant. Doraita. No reason to say it's not Doraita. Right? So that's the at least the Kesef Mishnah and Rav Kanievsky. Have a quick look at the Mari Korkus, at the top of page 14. He brings a different, we said before, the two ways of reading the halacha and the Rambam. Mari Korkus brings a third version of the Rambam. Third Girsad, version. בזמן שאין אבל נוהג, נוהג דין עבד עברי, לא בתארי חומה, ולא שדה אחוזה, לא זכרמים, ואין כלום גר תושב, ונוהגת שביעית בארץ מדבריהם, הכספים בכל מקום מדבריהם. You don't even need to go out of your way to explain that midivrehem at the end applies to both. He just writes divrehem twice, right? So clearly, many of the Parshanim understood that the Rambam says they're both. So then he goes on. This long paragraph he explains what I said. The Gimel Daled says. Our Chashulchan does the same. Everything I said. Our Chashulchan, they all play with the same things I said before. I just want to end with answering the implied question that we had. This is a very, very strange mechudash way of looking at this, right? In other words, if I say the Mari Korkus, so besides that the Rambam has his system and the method, which his method of writing, right? That he says in the context of Shmita Ksafim, I'm going to bring the limud because the pasuk is brought from Shmita Ksafim, but the truth is it applies to both. Fine, that's the way the Rambam writes. That's legit in itself. I mean, you could argue, but that's makes sense, even if the Kesef Mishnah would disagree. And that would put Shmitat Ksafim with Shmitat Karka together, and then it's all good, and everything's Drabanan, and about it's going good like the other Rishonim. What about, how do you understand the Kesef Mishnah? Why would we have such a system where Shmitat Karkaot would be on the one side, and would be Doraita, and Shmitat Ksafim and Yovel would be Drabana together? Right? Only Shmitat Ksafim would depend on Yovel. Why? Why would that be? So breaking up the Shemitah in itself, fine, the two. But why does Shmitat Ksafim have a closer connection to Yovel? Right? I think that we would have intuitively thought the other way around. Right? We'd intuitively think that Davka Shmitat Karka reminds us of Shmitat Karka by Yovel, right? As opposed to Shmitat Ksafim, which is a different system. It's your bank, it's not your karka, right? So I wanted to propose the following thing. What is the goal of each, and what does each one do? When it comes to Shmitat Karka, all you're doing is you're allowing everyone to eat from the land equally this year. What's going to happen at the end of this year? Bi'ul Pelot Shvit, you're going to have to get rid of the perot, you won't be able to use them after this year. So what you're giving is only nurturing for this year, right? What do you do in Shmitat Ksafim? We take the whole system that's been building up. Why do some people have bills and others don't? Why do some people owe money and others don't? Because some people are more successful, some people are less. So you have a minus, one person has a minus in the bank, the other person does not have a minus in the bank, right? You say we're taking everyone that's a minus in the bank and we're creating some kind of equality and saying across the board, you don't owe anyone anything, right? Comes to Shmitat Ksafim, say, from now, we're going to create equality amongst everyone, right? You don't owe anyone anything. Shmitat Karka is the same thing, by Yovel, right? Some people are more successful, some people are less, some people need to sell their land. You end up with selling your land, that means you're in trouble, right? So we say we create that same equality amongst everyone, we start everything anew. In a way, Shmitat Ksafim, that gives everyone back to their zero in the bank, is a lot more akin to Yovel, where everyone gets their land back, and we created some kind of a baseline equality that everyone has by getting rid of all the bills you owe, all the money you don't owe anymore, and returning the land back to their owners, you created a new equality, which is different in kind from the Shmita that says you're allowed to go to your neighbor's garden and eat his apples. Because that helps you then and there. That's something you need now, but it doesn't create that same kind of baseline equality.